Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game from EMEA Masters, Winter 2025.
A different style of side laning.
You say so Baus might be an annoying factor in the playstyle the KCB wants to have. How do you feel like is that? How will we see that back in one of those games, do you think?
I think the biggest thing that you're going to see is that KCB really needs to manage their time and tempo really well, because if you're going to go for Baus, he can waste your time like by a long shot, and if you waste too much time on killing Baus, then it might be a problem. So taking away the sign could help. We see it there, thank you very much. But other than that, let's just make sure you don't waste too much tempo on Baus.
Exactly.
And then KCB could be good to go.
Also, I mean, of course, we already see the pick and ban phase coming through, but SAM, real short maybe for KCB, what do you feel like for them is one of those advantageous points they could use to maybe get the win today?
Well, I'd say that like a main advantage of playing side lane into a teamfight composition is that in general you are able to set up your waves a bit better. So if you are going to transition from your side wave into maybe punishing your enemies in their own teamfight as well, you will always have an advantageous position, making sure that the rest of the lanes are shoving in the enemies, at least losing something, even if your teamfight in the end isn't going the way you'd like it to go. So there are some really nice takeaways playing a side lane composition into teamfighting. It's just, it's purely execution. And I feel like execution on both sides can be a bit wonky with the disconnect in the team from Karmine Corp, with the fact that Isma and Enser only recently joined and they don't really have that much practice with them. And for Los Ratones, I can't really explain it from yesterday, but in the end they are a team with veteran players who really have their fundamentals on point, and therefore even if it gets towards the late game, it wasn't necessarily planned at the start, they can still, they just have the clutch factor. So I would give it to Los Ratones if I didn't know the draft, but now we're drafting and we're seeing a lot of champions already coming in.
True, it also feels like they have a good understanding of what to do with the game state. So if they're either a bit behind or a bit ahead, it feels like they know very well when to initiate a play or maybe when to back off. In the meantime, we see a couple of these champs coming on through. We got Ezreal, Viego, and Syndra, of course, heading up versus Karner, Azir, and Kai'Sa. And Mahonix, we also just discussed in the lobby when we were not live that the stakes of this first game, also this first pick and ban phase, the first draft, that could be huge. You just told us.
Yeah, I mean, first game, it decides a lot, because if you are 1-0 behind and it's a best of 3, then you're already gonna think like, okay, we lost last game, so I guess we're worse, and then maybe the confidence might plummet a bit. And I think it's quite important to come out strong in the first game, even more with Fearless, because as, let's say, Los Ratones would win game 1, they can be confident about running back another comp that they're familiar with. However, KCB not having scrimmed a lot, for them it could be that they try something new and, you know, they don't have the practice to fully back it up with confidence. However, if KCB wins, vice versa, they can play their game again, and it can work out really well.
True. Also, by the way, Mahonix, you just told us the Baus is really important, right? The Baus is really important. I just saw some notification chat as well, but almost all of these bans, SAM, are going straight towards Baus.
Yeah, and of course it is understandable, like knowing that this man has such a champion ocean with some wacky champions, so you can't really leave some of them open, but at the same time, you always know that there's a new, almost a random champion going to stand up and be like, oh well, this is also a Baus champion, it can also be executed in a certain form of way. So it is interesting to see like the investment of the Gragas ban, the Sion ban, the Volibear ban, and the Quinn ban towards Baus, but just looking at what's still available, like Vi is still open, AP Jax would have been open but is now picked away by Karmine Corp themselves, so I really wonder whether we're going to see something like a Cho'Gath now, or well, if we're going to see something more like common in champion, like in Baus' champion pool.
the Baus has to play something common. Well, that feels like a big change up. It feels like KCB really had a plan to ban a couple of those champs. SAM?
Well, I do see that they lock in the Poppy now. So that feels like it's a bit more common if it isn't going to Reckless, but then I don't really see Reckless that much as a Poppy player. Also not really as an answer into what is currently being locked by Karmine Corp.
Well, he did play support a couple of times, no?
Yeah, but I don't think you just blind pick it here, not seeing a lot of Dash champions available to counter on the bot side. Alistar would make more sense already. I also just really like the fact that Reckless is in general like a Janna player who he really enjoys, but it doesn't really seem like the disengage is that necessary right now. So it is going to be a Braum, which actually makes for a really strong matchup in the 2v2. Kind of depending on what Karmine Corp is doing right now, but even if they're going like the classic Nautilus route here, I'd still say, oh, they're going for Rakan. But I'd still say that Los Ratones bot lane is stronger here.
Yeah, Mohonix, what do you feel like? We see all the pick and bans coming on through, so 10 champions will represent this first game. What do you feel like? KCB, maybe Los Ratones? Who do you think has this first game in their pocket?
In my opinion, this first game should go to KCB. Because KCB, they have, in my opinion, slightly better draft. I think the Braum is actually a mistake because the Braum, it doesn't function very well into Azir and also into Rakan, which was just still left open. So I think Los Ratones is gonna struggle if they don't find the lead in the early game. They must kind of get an early game lead, and personally I don't like it a lot, given that yesterday as well, the tempo of the games, it wasn't insanely high. So I prefer KCB their draft for game number 1.
KCB might take game 1. SIM, final conclusions? Who's going to take this game?
I mean, I would agree with Mohonix if it was nameplates off, but if it's nameplates on, there's only one thing I can say, and it's Los Ratones, who's once again, they are going to take this game home.
It sounds amazing. There's such a big storyline building up towards this match. There's a best of 3 coming up. We're about to kick off the very first game, and Duckling and Temporal, they're both more than ready to take us into this next adventure.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, Bo, and welcome over to the Caster's Desk, ladies and gentlemen. I am Temporal, I am blown away, I am ecstatic. The NLC might just be back, and they're going up against the Blue Wall as Los Ratones look to continue their undefeated streak here at EMEA Masters.
It's such a huge stakes. And like the Death said, it's coming home. It's coming home. I think the Rats are going to have a pretty good time this game. We have the drafts across from each other. Kaiser, traditional counter to Ezreal. We've got this great team in the NLC. They're called Nord Esports. Fantastic players. You turn their plates on, they are EMEA Masters ready. Unfortunately, we've only got one slot. And unfortunately for them, they've tried this comp before. The Kaiser setup with the engage that allows it to go further, that allows it to get past the Syndra win condition of controlling the front line, get into the Ezreal, cause havoc in this composition, failed in finals. And I don't think KCB are going to be able to pull it off again.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive game here. Just remind you all of the stakes. Winner of this best of 3 advances to top 8. The loser will face EY tomorrow for a final chance at securing a top 8 spot. Los Ratones on a little bit of an adventure here. Temporal. They're looking for Mainta. The flash from Reckless committed already. The auto attacks, one more would have been needed for the concussive blows to have stacked, and instead, Mainta makes his way out.
Bounces buckler, not quite enough to tip over the concussive blows. And with that, KCB concede the Tribush and things go back to normal. On the other side of the map, KCB did manage to get in a ward onto Value's Raptors, so they'll know where he's going in the early steps. Not a bad trade of vision, all said and done. And Mainta taking Q at level 1 isn't the greatest, but he's kept his flash.
Yeah, that's a massive cooldown, especially when you're going up against Baus. You know he can always do a few surprises and pull some aces or tricks up his sleeve. Did get banned out quite a lot though. 4 of his most popular champions in the NLC have been banned away, despite them being some of these more niche picks. So we'll see how he does on the PUBG champion he is familiar with and has played before during the split. A split in which they only lost 1 game in the upper bracket final to Nord, by the way. So the golden road for them here is on, but sadly they have already dropped that 1 game, and it can be exceptional. Regardless, brilliant performances by them as we settle ourselves into laning phase. And I think it's worth Temporal, just before we go into the nitty-gritty, to remind ourselves that KCB playing with a few substitutes, Isma subbing in for the tournament, you can say, coming in from the LEC SK, moving back to GX in the spring split, but playing EMEA Masters here with KCB, and then Nusua in the support position, playing today as well.
Yeah, coming in for Piera. I hope they're doing okay. We'll maybe see them again soon. So a little bit of a difficult, hard mode here for KCB. And that's okay. They are the 4-time EMEA Masters winning team. Moving forwards into LEC, won this split in LEC. Second place at first stand. This organization is on 1 tear and a half. It has been success to success for both Karmine Corp sides.
Unless you
this split so
think
far.
about last year in the LEC.
Well,
but yeah, it is an organization.
There's also the first week of Flash in LFL, which didn't go so hot and ended up with a tiebreaker that sent Game War down. The engage here from Enzo won't go too far. Trading in topside has let Velia get in.
Oh, Baus. Potentially not playing weak side for once. I think he'll be a very happy man with that as Velia. Now forced to go back into his jungle. So much pressure on both of these sides. The French community against the Rats, really. The battle lines have been drawn as main. Finds a pretty good trade here. Could find Baus as well for the solo kill. First blood should be secure at the jump. And the lamppost slams down for first blood.
Yeah, not a lot Baus could do there. You do have this sort of posturing on the wave. And normally Poppy gets away with things when you're on low HP. But at level 3, didn't hit the Steadfast Presence earlier on. Didn't manage to clip the Jax. And with such little mana, it is in Jax's favor. And unfortunately, had just seen Velia exit. Real unfortunate situation.
Yeah, Baus certainly familiar with the word death. Has happened multiple times as slow queue. Takes a bit of a trade here, but Nemesis so patient and the Syndra trades back nicely. If you're unfamiliar with the slow queue name, has been in the NLC before as well for Riddle and been very good in particular. His Akali, I remember, has obviously found success as well on KCB as Isma. Caught out here by Velia, Reckless rotating up as well. His fade is all but sealed as Velia. We'll get that first one. Wondering if he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, but no, plays it safe and instead just scouts around a bit.
Yeah, just going to maintain that freeze on mid, means slow queue can't walk up to the wave. And mid is a fantastic matchup here on both sides. Everyone knows Nemesis, everyone knows the Fnatic 2019-2020 run, so successful internationally. And reunited with Crownie on the big stage. They did start Nemesis' career together back in 2016, so it's a partnership as old as time for the Slovenian duo. And just
really
being able to face up against Slowq in mid lane, who went deep in EMEA Masters for X7, has done it for the NLC region before. It's a big test for Slowq. I think Nemesis really is sort of the mid laner we should be comparing all the other mid laners at the tournament to. Massively successful career.
He might not be Korean, but he's been there so long, right? That,
oh, yeah.
I mean, his skill has definitely learned from that. His laning seems so good, able to gain these small leads. He was crucial to the victory in Game 1 yesterday. As for Ratones, to have a bit of a habit for potentially making it a bit more difficult on themselves than they need to, but they've always been able to pull it over the line in the end, regardless of how hard the game is or how unplayable the draft might seem. They have that ability to find a way. And I think so often, when you look at this team, your answers come back to Baus because he is just always impacting the game for better or for worse. Finding these crucial fights, pushing on the side lane, being caught sometimes as well. Teams try and play around him, but no one has really figured out how to beat Baus yet as KCB. So far, doing good and will be able to claim the first trade.
Yeah, might become a struggle later on as the Poppy into the Jax can sort of start to bleed out in the 1 versus 1 to the point where Poppy has to go and commit to a fight, and you're sort of losing the big arm of Bowson's law, which is I can go to the side lane at inconvenient times and drag you there. You take a death every single time, it does get a little bit out of hand. You're right, it hasn't come to burden Lost Ratones yet too much.
Yeah, I think that's a good say, right? Not too awfully much. They have obviously felt it at times where teams have done everything in their power, but my personal thoughts coming into this split was if Baus can have success with that playing style alone in solo queue, what happens when he then have 4 very coordinated, very skilled players around him as well to maximize that? And well, you get an NLC title, that's what you've already gotten. Only 1 game dropped, and EMEA Masters aiming for that top 8, likely more as well. We know what they want. They want to win it all. They want to win the lot here in Europe. Tier 2 system as Crownie and Reckless force a recall out of this KCB bot lane, and we'll be feeling pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, they'll get the tower, and we're seeing the strength of the Braum pick here. Normally, you see Kaiser and Rakan up against an Ezreal, it's going to be a real good time. You're going to really be able to make him hurt in lane. His evasion's not going to count for much, and there should be kills coming through because it is not playable. But with the Braum, every time you come forwards, there's that extra check. Did you come forwards appropriately? Are you so advantaged that concussive blows doesn't make a difference? And unfortunately, the answer so far this game has been, I've tagged you with concussive blows, and it's time to leave.
Yeah. Concussive blows, such a crucial passive, it feels like, when it's playing around the extra damage, extra CC becomes so much as Mainter. And Baus aggressively trading good damage here for the KCB top laner, but the mana bar didn't allow him to go any further. I thought for a second if he had just a bit more, maybe could have found another solo kill, but Baus lives on, obviously always going for these movement speed boots, stacking them up. I think especially the tempo he gets when they get upgraded and the recall is really nice for him, as he'll survive on the hit.
It's so good to have that Baron empowered recall at all stages of the game. Baus was sort of an auto, and then the flash completion away from death there. So Mainton going for it, as he should. Has been, I think the best way to describe his playstyle has been a menace so far.
He's TP behind. I don't think Baus has realized this yet. It might be a little too late. Good flash, good autos. As the goal, he used the ultimate. Mainter, that is brilliant. Sidesteps the ult and finds another solo kill on Baus.
Absolutely brutal footwork there, just making Baus sweat, making him suffer for it. Yeah, another kill down. The flash is Jax's way in under Poppy's barrier that just stops the leap strike so effectively, is pretty readable. And with that, just another bunch of gold over. The Jax is getting stronger. It's not all going to come to a precipice just yet. It does really need 2 items before Poppy starts to fall away and struggle to survive in a minion wave. Brownie.
I mean, he does have all sums, but could still be in a bit of trouble. Forced to use the cleanse. Can they force the flash as well? Likely to do so, but no, he holds on, he holds steady, and doesn't use it too early. Key summoner to remain as Isma's around the corner as well. Same goes for Vilya, a potential 3v3 on the cards, but surely it will be one LR win unless you just kidnap the jungler away. Good damage initially, forcing the ultimate out the Heartbreaker to safety. So he gets taken down to half, but no more, no less. The fight seemed to end.
Slow Q just guarding Nemesis there at the side. There is enough time to rotate up to the Void Grubs from here. No one losing out too much on the play. Yeah, Vilya maintaining his flash as well. So not bad at all. Getting the Impale and, gosh, I've forgotten the name of Viego's ultimate. Both out here does mean that Grubs fight in the next few seconds is going to be less explosive. Both teams probably prefer this. They want to set up on mid first. Take it step by step.
Nemesis finding a not lovely trade, really. This didn't really connect on the Qs and the Ws. It is what it is, though. Small leads have accrued in pretty much every lane here for Lost Ratones, except for that top lane where Mainta is having a very good time all on his own. That island is one where he finds himself thriving. Void Grubs now on the map temporal, and they look to be claimed without any real contest. That's a Drake in 20 seconds Lost Ratones could look at, but they did get the first 3 grubs. They aren't worried too much about losing the rest.
Yeah, it would be an absolute disaster to have given the Jax the 6s. House just not quite getting the steadfast presence there again. Just need to be careful that this Jax doesn't start to run away with it. With the Jax without the big 6, and I suppose Azir as well does make fantastic use of them. Isma's able to get in there because of the fast footwork around mid, and not a lot of mana for Mainta.
Mana on Mainta, but Isma has a full HP bar and a full mana bar, but he gets sent back. Not today, Bao says, as he's able to buy himself more time.
I love this adaptation from Lost Returns. You can't lane swap anymore. I'm going to send the people who've come to my lane away and just continue to not have numbers disadvantage. It's not a strictly adaptation the way we think about it.
IQ.
I think it's 10 out of 10.
It is absolutely brilliant as Ensu just spots out Vilya stealing away a few camps. His Viego is phenomenal. The few times we got to see it in the NLC, it was to impressive levels of success. He definitely managed to take over some games, and he could potentially do that here as well. The Kraken Slayer already built a fine goal. He already found as the Su as the next one to be picked off and instantly evaporates off the rift.
Once again,
he's not done. He's not done. He wants more. The Heartbreaker flies wide though as the Killer Instinct goes out towards safety, but there is no safety really for Exa as feats of warfare acclaimed Velia cannot be stopped so far. He goes forward beneath 2 turrets and he happily finds the kill as Mainter. One more auto from finding Bounce, but he's able to survive.
Won't have the teleport, but with those symbiotic shoes already got the recall through, we'll be able to get back up to top relatively quickly. And it looks like first tower, the Rats just about can't get it.
Yeah, Isma invested his own time there to make sure it didn't go down. I can't quite recall on the top of my head if the first top lane turret will go down. I believe not, as Mainter is now recalling. So it should survive. 2 plates still on it, so still quite a bit of HP. We'll keep our eyes on that first turret, as it would also secure the upgraded boots, feats of strength for Lost Ratones. They find themselves in a 1.6k goal lead, and zoom out, look back to yesterday's performances against NBS, who's already now been eliminated. Lost Ratones wasn't really that good in the early game. They were struggling a bit to pull ahead and were actually slightly behind in gold, so great improvement and going up against a much greater team to find themselves 2k ahead. That's a massive win for the NLC representatives.
Yeah, we are starting to see, I think, where KC Blue can continue some of the threads they started in draft. I think currently slow queue is a massive threat that's just been slowly going through the game.
Major?
He's gonna
No
do a
kill threat
whole
here,
bunch
right?
of
But his damage is impressive. Maybe I was wrong. This time the Manaba almost full. Holding our breath really when we got over there. It's so close to really just leading to that solo kill. First throw though to be claimed. Will it cost them anything, as Exa desperately trying to do damage, but there is nothing that can be done. He's not far enough ahead in the game yet to really have a say. TP in from Mainter. They want more. They are trying to squeeze everything out of this counter move, but they can't gain anything. Lost Ratones just walk out.
That's absolutely fantastic in the 2
Oh,
versus
they're
4.
looking for the dive. They won't give
Reckless
it. They won't give it. The
complete-
killer instinct forward, but can they really close the gap? Crowny has the flash, and that should be enough to buy more time. The grand entrance though connects. The ignite is ticking. They finally found it, but what has it cost them as main to now the next target? Velia has already found one. Nemesis has rotated down, and it's not just gonna be 2. They want all 3.
And so with the fantastic find onto Crowny, had to go so deep just at the right time. But KC Blue pay the iron price. That is absolutely vicious. Velia coming through will pick up another, goes to 5-0 and 2 on his signature Viego. Looking so strong as we enter the mid game.
And then as Velia goes unstoppable, the goal lead balloons. They overforce their hand. KCB desperate to get something when they invest that TP. Instead, they invested in the wrong thing. 5k gold. The NLC representatives are ahead. They lose a turret in the mid lane, but they don't mind much. This gold lead so comfortably in their favor. Look at what Baus did in the top lane. Got a turret. He is now slightly, albeit, ahead in gold.
How is he got away with it again? You know, we look
can't
at
keep
him as an
getting away with
extended
it.
play. Main to TP's down to, you know, contribute. And he's done it again.
Isma not going to go for it. It feels like the game has already slipped through the hands here of KCB. They had a win condition to play around, and while I don't want to write their death warrant too soon, this much momentum. I've seen this in the NLC tempo. This much gold this early in Lost Ratones' pocket. They've only written 1 chapter so far, and it's all winning. And it seems like they want to continue writing about that story here today.
It's looking real good. They've got one more wave that's sort of expiring now to get slow queue out without expending teleport onto the dragon. You don't really want to blow the teleport unless you're actually going to kill someone in that situation. So they are going to maybe give the dragon or look for a further angle. You see Isma up on the top side of the map and maybe looking to cross map. As Ensa is up there as well. Probably recalling now. With that in mind, yeah, it's just going to be resets and KCB giving up the ghost on the dragon, taking a deep breath and reassessing their options. As the Rift Herald falls, not too worried about it going down here, though. There isn't that mid-tier 1 to crack. And unless they extend the play massively, it looks like Isma might not even be able to finish it off cleanly here.
Yeah, they've gotten a top lane turret, but Baus is the target, and that's the wrong one to go in on. You can't really kill him quickly anymore. He's gotten a lot of HP built up, and they have to give it. I mean, so many people have been questioning, when was Lost Ratones gonna struggle? When were they gonna be pushed to the brink? And I think the closest we've seen that was maybe yesterday against NBS. But I thought Karmine Corp Blue, you know, with all due respect, it is only game 1 of a best of 3. Anything can happen in game 2, and this game not quite over yet, but so far Los Ratones, they're in the driver's seat, they've bought the car, they've laid out the financing for it, they are feeling good here as they march on to continue their impressive winning streak.
Is this a you coming of age thing? Have you finally got a car?
Sadly not. I haven't had one. I'm Danish.
One day Declan will be old enough for his driver's license. I kid everyone that there is just a mild age difference on cast. And talking of difference, KC Blue, we mentioned they have 2 subs. Isma in for the tournament. Ensa are in right now.
Slow Q. I think he's just dead here, surely, right? Oh, a lot of damage. Able
it's close
to shuffle his way out to safety. And
I
Nemesis.
think in the previous Shadow Flame era, that is just a one and
He
done.
definitely is. He would have been taken down. Instead, though, the more DPS build, I want to say, for Nemesis coming out so far, allowing him to do more damage over time against these tankier opponents.
The Blackfire Torch, I've redone my maths on it recently because I looked at it when it came out and I was like, this is awesome. It's had a few changes since. This is the highest DPS build. You need many of those S's. You need to keep the seconds up. You need to keep the passive up. You need to keep the rotations up. But the Torch is really strong, misleadingly strong, and you kind of can't avoid it in these item sets. Cosmic Drive will help him reposition, help him get that next Scat of the Week out. Looking forward to a big AP item next. Maybe if the game goes a certain way, we'll even see that Magi Soul Stealer come through. Slowq currently pushing the issue in the bot lane. That means KC Blue feel empowered to enter the Rat's vision down here, but they will pay for it with their top tier 2.
Definitely paying a price, and what do they get out of it? Nothing really. KCB, Temporal, what do you do now when you're sitting in this position? I mean, you're losing across the map. You're not really gaining anything.
Oh, this is beautiful.
As a driver's license, not quite earned by Vilja.
No, not quite. Could have maybe arced it down into mid, but getting knocked into
This is what you do. You go for Nemesis, who's isolated and all on his own. He's down to half force to flash away as the killer instinct now comes in. Exa wants the kill and he gets it. Immediately shut down, claimed by Isma. And they've gotten 2. They've gotten Vilja as well. I was asking the question, and immediately Temporal, they give us the answer.
It did. Crownie was not there, was spotted leaving mid lane on a wave. And with that, KC Blue knew they had the numbers advantage. It looks like they're going to extend into Baus here. Overextending into Baus has been their issue so far, but no punish here from the Rats.
Yeah, no one can punish it this time. There is no Vilja Nemesis rotating up. Baus can run for a few seconds, but I don't think there's an escape from this one. Good flash.
No way.
No way. No way Baus get out of this. And there was indeed no way. Maintel will take him down in the end. Ardekan has now spawned. The gold lead still in Los Ratones' favor, but a huge counter punch and hope for KCB. Los Ratones, though, not done yet. They want the chase to continue, and they don't want this fight to end.
All right, Crownie's here this time. Reckless up in the front will dissuade KCB from further play. Mainta had to TP back to his Nexus towers there. He escaped the hard way, and with it, Crownie will start the objective. Baus no teleport, and he's still not on the map. KC Blue might have time to get in on this, but Ardekan's not as tanky as he looks.
Yeah, especially when it's the withdrawal Ardekan, right? It doesn't have as much damage, doesn't have as much HP, and Milia, despite dying before 2 items, does a lot of damage. Same can be said across the board, really. The 2 item spikes have been hit. Luckily for KCB, that also goes for Slowq and Exa, so there is hope now. There are win conditions, and with a Drake up in 30 seconds, you could force a fight around it.
With the voracious Ardekan changes, it is now best in precisely this situation. Just before an objective, the Rats walking in, they can withdraw fearlessly from this position. They can move into their own jungle, not worried about a pick, but they do have to make a play.
We'll keep our eyes on the Los Ratones carries. I want to see Vilja as well, though. Huge! 2 stealing away there from Isma, but it's not enough quite yet. The engage doesn't lead to more! As Slowq finds a massive Emperor's Divide, and he puts the carries right into the waiting hands. If not for the Ardekan, this would have been a clean ace for KCB.
Bit of a disaster there. The Rats sent packing, but they do have major cooldowns out now, so the approach on this next dragon, if they choose to revenge it, they should be able to get some kills out. If they are able to rush it down, KC Blue gotta be happy with that big key teamfight ultimates back to back. The Impale into the Divide, into Exa Kick, and Mainta going absolutely crazy in the front. That is the sort of thing that unconditionally this composition can pull off.
I'm happy I didn't write that death warrant too soon, Tempo, because there are certainly life. While there might have been a few cracks early game, the blue wall still stands strong, continuing to
Oh my
keep this game going. That damage from a Jax already this early in a game is a scary sight to behold if you're an NLC faithful or just a casual rat tuning in for the first time. Isma, I don't think he's quite caught here. Sadly, a tank can do that. Just running through walls feels a bit illegal, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's he's allowed. He's allowed his one thing, Iskana.
Yeah, you're right.
With the tank profile for KC Blue, and this is something we're going to see come up over EMEA Masters and probably professional play if things keep up the way they are. Again, it was a thing at first, and Ezreal's such a really cool pick and draft. You dissuade a Varus into you. You set up this gameplay where you can be really non-interactive and you stand away. You can't kill big tanks. If there's an Ornn on the enemy team, Nemesis just at the edge of what's reasonable here.
No flash. What can he realistically do as the Impale comes through the kill? All but secured. Investing a few ultimates in it, but that's all they'll get. They'll claim the turret as well. Happy days here for KCB.
Felt confident maybe the value was nearby and not expecting all of KC Blue to tunnel in on this turret with bow spacing on the far side. That's KC Blue just narrowing that gap again. We started around 2,000 before the big fights, up to 5,000 for Lost Ratones. Back down to 2,000 now. So that big lead we celebrated starting to evaporate away. Let's see if they can set up the next fight a little more coherently, a little bit less of a big Ezreal pick, feeling empowered by Articon, which won't be there again, and a little bit more straightforward front to back. But Casey's composition.
And as the game state is pretty much even, unless you look at the junglers, right? All the goal difference is on Velia. Look at this star-studded roster. Massive streamers, big players, been to Worlds, LEC winners. And then you have Velia, not quite a rookie, far from it actually. Spent a lot of time around the EBL. Never had much success. A short stint in the NLC as well actually, or the National League of Norway with Rich King. And the pressure on the biggest stage with Lost Ratones have found themselves in Temporal lies on him. He's the goal difference.
He is. I think, if we cast that season as well, that's Telly League. And that was us. That's crazy.
The good old days, man. The good old days.
There's not a lot of... It feels like yesterday, it really did. But yeah, it was Rich Gang in 2023. It was a really cool team.
It really was. And
he's done so well, hasn't he? Because if you look back, there's not a lot of first place there for Valia.
Not a lot.
It really was the upswing. There was Bad Lions, which was Evo, Nemesis, and Crowny, and the Baron. It's all on his shoulders. He's got to steal it.
We're keeping our eyes on Velia, the one with the least experience on the biggest stage, now has to step up. He's charmed and sees it. He's down immediately, but Exa falls, and the veterans continue to fight. The Baron doing so much damage to Snowcube, forcing him out. The counter-strike is good, but you're all alone, Minter, as the Rats group up, and they take down 2. They'll chase for more, as they're not quite done. The bank comes through for Snowcube. In the final seconds, he finds safety as Baus, unable to cancel it.
Doesn't quite cancel it, but he does run it into the bank. Baus, the front line, the tip of the spear. And while Velia went down, did have to position aggressively. You have to threaten the steal to pull Karmine Corp off of the Baron that they had so nearly earned, so nearly pulled away. It's not quite enough. This Ezreal Crowny is doing so much damage right now. And between that and Nemesis managing the front line, managing KC Blue's attempt at the approach, the Rats have survived. Baron lives, and they get to fight at this dragon.
Soul point for both teams. Temporal. Take a look at Slowcube. Flash available. We've seen his Empress divides. When they win the fight, he can be the difference maker. We'll also keep our eyes on this man, the Impale. Another great engage that has worked out for them a few times, but I want to keep my eyes on Slowcube for KCB. If he's alive and he finds the right engage, he could just be the difference maker.
Yeah, that is, I think, what we're looking for. A big shuffle, a big setup that lets main to deal DPS, that lets Isma hold down, especially Nemesis, for a longer period of time. Crowny already with the QSS through. He's not got to be the target. You've got to stop him from playing by getting the Baus out of the front line, removing the setup, removing the protection around the Ezreal.
The Drake is now live. No one started. They're actually parting topside. As Baron is also still on the rift. Will someone just go down and take it on their own? I think maybe both teams are aware that if that happens, they can just start the more important objective as Isma tries to go over the wall. Baus says no, but the team isn't there to back him up. The Impale now coming through. Killer Instinct. Baus might just be caught. He doesn't have the flash, but he'll push one away as Nasua buys time in the front line. Here comes Mainta with the TP. He found Baus, but he's not dead yet. Nasu instead is the one to fall. And they're going forward. They're finding more. 2 kills for the Rats as Baus pushes this game to its very limits.
Bowson's Law strikes again. The formula will be you cast all of your important ultimates on Baus, and he gets away with it for free. Absolutely fantastic from the Rats. They dive in to save their scuttled teammate. They will be rewarded with the dragon and an opportunity at this Baron as Nemesis and Reckless move up. What excellent, excellent play to reach their teammate in his time of need. It's such short moves. They start the Baron. They invite KC Blue into what will likely be a final dance.
10 seconds death time on Mainta with no TP, just used it before. Isma can hope for the steal. It is though a 50-50. They can't keep him out of the pit. We'll keep our eyes on Slowq as well. The damage from him must be there. Isma in the pit. They can cancel now and just kill the jungler. Take him down, guys. But no, they can't. They force him out of the pit and secure the Baron instead. Slowq down to half. The carry who has to do it here for KCB. Already on the brink as Exa takes a massive Mystic shot to the face, and Lost Ratones survive with all 5 Barons.
The Baron power play starts now for the Rats. They do have this lead. They do have a fantastic position. They still have to be wary of the clock. They cannot continue to go later and later, or eventually this Kaiser will be able to start slotting out items away from the efficiency we've come to associate with the pick and into raw damage. The Jax will still be a huge threat, but for now, those lanes need pushing, and Lost Ratones have got some gold to collect.
Lost Ratones have weathered the storm and got themselves back to that 5k goal lead they found themselves in earlier in the game. But we know, just from short experience watching the series, that this lead is not insurmountable. You mentioned it as well. The scaling is great. There's a Drake in 3 minutes. We'll remember that as it is sold, potentially for Lost Ratones. But we'll keep our eyes on this Baron power play for now. As how do you utilize this best? Because KCB, that strategy is interesting here. They're just walking up, not letting them have objectives, rather saying, come into the jungle, guys. We have something for you here.
Let Slowq just get a few more auto attacks and just play with those health bars slightly adjusted. It's a very fair way to play for KC Blue. They did waste some time there. Unfortunately, not getting back onto the wave, not feeling confident walking through the Poppy, walking through the Braum does mean they'll pay with their tier 2. Slowq no longer with the teleport, no longer with the flash, both burned in front of the Baron, so we can't play the long lane on bot.
Isma.
With that, Isma's going to try and find something.
It's just Reckless though, that's not the target you want, and now instead the damage gets turned slowly but surely on towards him. The Impale is on 2, but Crowny QSS's it, and as Slowq desperately tried to put out the damage, he was simply unable to do enough. Mainta now focusing on clearing the wave, a sign of desperation, as KCB, the blue wall, more cracks are starting to fall.
It is desperation play from both. They've bought, honestly, more time than I thought. Only 50 seconds left on the Baron power play. No major towers cracked. And Mainta should not survive here, but the top tier 3 survives, the mid tier 3 unassaulted. They've largely done the job, even though they've had to pay for it.
I mean, this is delayed death timers, right? Isma is up in 10 when Mainta now dies here. Lost Ratones, 30 seconds left on the Baron. Do they want to push for more, or are they not going to get too greedy? I think there's definitely a window though.
They'll definitely be able to push up. They won't be able to actually break through any infrastructure, which would have been their goal here, if not for a big team fight. In the next few minutes, the Rats have kind of got to do it again. They're up on Soul Point. This Mountain Dragon will add a lot in being able to play through Slowq, getting a few soldiers in as they back out of any space they find. Of Exakick not being able to poke someone down. If more AP comes through, we see the Void Staff being built as well. And you're right, Duckling. We've restored the strong position Lost Ratones found themselves in after that first big fight. From here, we do have to see them start to pull apart KC. We want to see them chase Baus around the map again. We want to see them fall away on the approach when Nemesis says no, when Reckless is in the way. That's what Lost Ratones have to achieve.
This performance as well, Temple, feels so different to the one we saw yesterday, because that was about the individuals, and Nemesis in particular in game 1, Velia in particular in game 2, and while we've tried to highlight these are the fit guys as Baus, surely he's not going to kill Slowku here, right? Just able to walk it out and being a bit annoying. But this time it's about the collective. They've been on the same page. They've all stepped up together, coordinated in the plays. They've been able to recoup the gold that they had initially lost from their big goal lead. And now they're pushing for tier 2 in bot lane as well as... I mean, I'm impressed. It's a way stronger performance than we saw yesterday. And it had to be, as KCB are no pushovers.
I think even in the weaker moments, the togetherness is something that we don't normally associate with them in their best moments. Baus, that's a nice trade. No Emperor's Divide.
Stuck underneath the turret though. As I think, I mean, he could just die here to the Sand Soldiers, or not the Sand Soldiers. Instead, the turret as the shutdown gets claimed by Slowku. And look at what's spawning in 5 seconds. We've seen this story before. As Nemesis is now the target. This is just a window. That's a Drake spawning Soul. And no Baus on the map for 40.
No Rakan ultimate, no Emperor's Divide, no Impale, despite the Rats being a member down. If Nemesis manages the front line, Velia and Crowny should be able to take this.
They'll have to fight in 4v5, and they claim the Soul initially. Velia, the immediate target, but they can't lock him down. Killer Instinct available if they find the CC on the right target, but despite it being a 4v5, the Rats find a way to claim the Soul.
Big key ultimates. KC Blue has used them to such success, but Baus once again sponging too much, being too resilient, too resistive in this top lane. Despite falling, does secure his team Dragon Soul. It is likely going to be Elder now. I don't think KC Blue will be taking another fight the same way they extended the game earlier by playing out the end of that Baron and running around the map, dragging the Rats with them. I don't think Lost Ratones will secure a position for a fight into KC Blue before this Baron's up. And likely before the Elder Dragon.
The Elder Dragon, yeah, 5 minutes. The Baron in 20 seconds.
This is surely a stalemate. Surely.
They've pulled a Rapid out of their head before Temporal, but what do they need this time? I mean, main just 3 items. Not quite 4 on Slowku yet, but 4 items on Exa. Need something here, and they have to get it soon. Isma's looking for Baus, but we all know how that story ended last time. It's not a good choice to go in on him as Isma instantly tucks his tail between his legs, and now it's Lost Ratone stepping up.
Rapid fire shots out from Crowny. Slowku in trouble here.
They want to force this, but I think KCB is just able to get out. Yeah, flash forward from both Mainta and Isma. Huge cooldowns to be burning as the Baron is standing. So they'll turn their attention to that.
Teleports available for Mainta. That low health bar will be regenerated. Slowku will have to be the leading edge here. Isma distracted by Baus.
But same could be said for Mainta. He's TPing right into his own demise as Baus looks to be taken down. He buys so much time, but same story can be told for Mainta, who will also fall. 4v4 now as Baron's still available.
Being a top laner is just not it, eh? You gotta be this like selfless hero. You gotta teleport into 4 people, buy enough space, your team doesn't get collapsed on. Slowku.
He is so low. Flash and Empress Divide available, but he's almost already taken down. One more Mystic Shot would have done it, but it's enough to claim the Baron regardless.
Absolutely brutal. Slowku has done so well. Not gone down this entire game. Has done so much damage and held positions that KC Blue honestly didn't have the equipment for at the time. Unfortunately, not enough. The Baron goes down. Hopefully, Lost Ratones managed to generate a little bit more out of this one. Get the waves up in time for that Elder Dragon in 3 minutes. The clock is ticking down, Duckling. The Rats did get 1 fight, but it's not all XDD just yet.
They're on the cusp of victory. 1 more fight in their favor would definitely seal it. As you said, it's not done quite yet, and KCB will go down kicking, screaming, and fighting until the very last moment. They've been able to find 1 small miracle before this time. They need few of them in a row maybe to claw this back up against the Soul, or just an Elder Flip in 2 minutes, but first they have to survive the onslaught of the Baron.
Alright, Crowny should be trying to fire shots here as fast as possible. Has managed to get a little bit of poke onto Isma, not a huge amount there. Currently curling down. Nemesis is going to go collect the bottom wave, so they should be able to hold KC Blue at their 2 tier 3 towers just as the objective comes up. So that's the most favorable position. From here, the Rats don't have to start a fight. They do have to react to KC Blue seeing an opportunity. It's not coming to pass just yet.
Yeah, unable to crack open the base. The blue wall stands strong for now, despite an almost 10k goal lead. 9k would be a more accurate description. Mainta pushing on top. He can't easily join in with no TP. Objective bounties will soon be available, and oh, do they need them, KCB. As Nemesis steps up confidently, will crack open the base. The first hole in the wall can now be seen as they can peek in towards behind the curtains, and there lies a grateful victory.
Alright, the tier 3 goes down. They can't bridge back to mid. They have lost to tier 2 in bot. Mainta trying to do his best to go as fast as possible. Multiple recalls in from Lost Ratones. They aren't able to get all of them off, though. Crownie should be able to walk this one off and just fade away through the dragon if Yzma is not beelining it down to the bottom lane.
Pinging, they want to find him. The Baron's still available for 40 seconds. He has quick recall, but he's recalling on a ward. Can they stop him in time? No. Very quickly realizing that 4-second timer too strict. And I think Temporal, it is going to come down to it. An Elder flip in a minute's time. Surely that's the last thing that KCB can try.
I think they've got a really good angle if they manage to get Slowcube in undamaged to the front. It might be that you just need to line him and Yzma up and do it in parallel and just let the Skarner come through the wall as Slowcube finds an angle in around him. It is very basic and it requires Rakan to then be the secondary. Is a bit easier for Rakan. Is hard to keep both of those health bars high. Yzma taking chunk already. As Crownie once again up in the lane, feeling confident in his performance.
Slowcube. DC'd up by the Scat of the Weak. He needs to be strong at this moment and stand tall as Yzma is the one to initially be caught. Mainta's in on the back, but they've committed on the front end as Crownie's being taken down by Mainta. He's CC'd up for ages. Slowcube still alive, pretty much untouched. This looks good for KCB, as they've already got one of the carries. Noya is next up on the menu, and Slowcube will take him down. It's a 3-0 into the hands of the Elder Dragon for KCB.
Despite Bowser's best efforts, couldn't defend his backline there. Will teleport into mid to try and damage the tier 3 Nemesis. Playing as much time as he can, trying to stop the bases. Gets Enser and will cancel. The Elder Dragon goes over to KC Blue. I think, have they held on to the tier 3s? They have. Half health still in the tier 3. Bows didn't manage to catch the wave. Current teleport does not keep the minion alive like the classic one. And with that, the rats are then scurrying back into their warrens.
It's not done yet. The pressure. It's all getting, I'm going to say to their head. It's getting to mine for sure. The NLC so desperately wanting a massive success story. It's been more than a year since they last made the top 8. Lost Ratones would need to win this and one more. And when they would have done something, that was usually a given for the NLC, but in recent history, seems a faraway memory. But the Rats not done yet. KCB though refusing to crack that easily. Thriving under pressure. Pushing back when needed. And finding the fights when the times look their darkest.
Alright. Mini wave still pretty neutral. No one's knocking on anyone's door right now. 1 minute to go on the Baron. KC looking pretty strong. They will be wanting to use all of this Elder Dragon and start the objective to actually invite Lost Ratones in fully into the pit. Otherwise, it will be a quick, easy take. And Mainta on the side lane that has started to take over. We'll notice Barris hasn't actually gone to meet him head on for some time now. The Jax is well and truly overscaled the Poppy in the 1 versus 1. With that in mind, you got to find a pick.
Yeah, they tried, but Rakan, also slippery. We've seen that tail a million times before in competitive games, and so often he finds his way out. 40 seconds left on the Elder, 24 until the Baron spawns. They need to find a way to buy some time, and then they could look to find around the Baron, but I want to keep my eyes on Slowcube once again. Still has not died. Temporal, and one more big fight from him could be all KCB need to win game 1.
It's a big task to stand up to someone like Nemesis in the mid lane, and Slowcube has had a fantastic time of it. It's put on a real show. The Blues will start the Baron on spawn. Last 10 seconds of the Elder. They should be able to secure this nice and easily. Reset once again. They do need to look for some serious advantage over the Dragon Pit to get to this next Elder. But they are on the path. They are no longer struggling for an opening. Slowcube looks so strong. We'll see what they can cook up.
And the issue in these past fights, they are unable to find the reset really temporally and take over the fights as they're too tanky, and before he finds anything, fight has already been lost, the carries have been killed. Isma now potentially caught, but the Impale! It's on 3, but it's on all of the front line as Nemesis and Crowley just free fire from the back line. Exa jumps forward and looks to try and win it all here. Bounce taken down in the back line as Mainzer buys so much space and so much time as KCB now continue their march forward, unable to find more as Lost Ratones have successfully disengaged.
Big pick, big Impale. Doesn't quite get the job done at this stage, though. This time, KC Blue hold on to the Shurima shuffle. They're looking for the next play rather than all-inning on a fight, not blowing everything on Baus. They'll easily be able to pick up this tier 2. I don't think Lost Ratones can hold this tier 3 without some absolute magic coming to pass.
Magic is needed. The Rats need to find something here. They need to cook up something magical. The goal lead's still slightly in their favor, but that could quickly change. More neutral objectives falling. The Rats might take their second defeat ever in real competition. It's a best of 3. There are more chances, but as they're pushed back to their Nexus turrets, it's an unfamiliar sight to see for any NLC viewer, for any Lost Ratones watcher. As KCB, there were cracks in their wall, but they've rebuilt sharply, and now the game dead even. It's the beginning of the series as we head back into the Rift. The nerves, the tension, and the anticipation for the final fight to unfold in front of our very eyes. A Lost Ratones that seems more coordinated, more on the same page. Now yesterday, I said it was needed against an opponent like KCB, but so far, it has not been enough to push them over the finish line, and now, right back to the starting line, a game essentially dead even.
Yeah, a lot more gold and experience, but you're right, there's not a lot of change. Slow Q coming up on full build, all he's got to do is sell those boots should he choose to do so. Likewise, Magi Soul Stealer in for Nemesis. Big spikes. It's now more about the moves you make than the gold you generate. And so just managing to get into that lower river isn't going to be able to come forwards over the grubs with a control ward, but dragon spawning in 55 seconds means all KC Blue need to do is hold this position, hold this wall. And they will be in the strongest setup for the dragon itself.
Another Elder Deck, this one feels decisive. One more fight feels decisive. The teams cannot afford to give much more. A slow Q again, unkillable, full build flash available. But what is written in the stars really to be the final fight. 30 seconds time, Nemesis cannot be caught now. The Scatter of the Weak comes through, but it's not okay, it's not good enough, he's down! He is dead! Massive shutdown and massive pick before the Elder.
Exekick comes flying in. Explodes Nemesis. With that, the Rats are in a real tough situation. Without that frontline mitigation, the management the Scatter of the Weak has been offering them, I'm not even sure they can approach confidently.
They can't. I don't see a way they can do it unless someone else from KCB missed them. But their mistakes these past 5 minutes have been few and far between. Another Elder, a second one to go down for the French representatives. This game could be decided with that, but they won't contest for it, so they'll have to try and push through and end it with the buff active.
You know, there is the famous meme about the French stuffing. Their cooking is excellent. Low and slow. Give the pastry chef an extra 2 hours. He's going to make something special. In this game, clearly we just needed to get past 45 minutes for KC Blue to do something a little bit special. The second Elder comes through. And with that, I can't help but think another easy Baron setup within the timer on this buff. And the Rats have really got to make best use of their tools. Unless they find a huge pick, unless they invite Isma or Ensa to engage sporadically, erratically in front of an objective, I'm not sure what they can do right now.
Not many options left for Lost Ratones. The Baron seems a given for KCB at this point. The French representatives pushing the NLC's best to its very limits. It's been a back and forth game, a series set to deliver for potentially 2 more games after this. The Soul will give Lost Ratones a bit of a helping hand, but it's nothing compared to the Elder. Slow Q dashes forward, feeling confident, full build, and still hasn't died on this assault.
He's looked so strong. The fancy footwork before objectives has made the difference. Where the Rats decided to push on him, he was unbothered and allowed Isma to keep going around the map despite playing against Velia, who's held a gold lead for the last half an hour. It has been the difference in how do you get your tank through the game. You give them all of the objectives they could want as much as you can. It really, really has made the difference. Waves coming in mid and bot, synchronized mostly. But Cranny will have access to this, so not immediate death here. Recalls coming through for the Blues. Baron up in 12 seconds.
Nemesis has sold his Magi Soul Stealer, not bought a Sunny's Hourglass, instead full glass cannon. One more misstep and death is sealed. Potentially the fate of the game. The Baron is a given, as we discussed before. It's free, it won't be contested. Full items on all the big carries.
Maybe a true
down
shot
to
barrage, you
execution.
know? Maybe a true shot barrage.
It's
Maybe.
not gonna
Come on,
happen.
Cranny.
He hasn't
Come
even
on,
fired
Cranny.
it.
Too much respect. That's okay. It is not good to lose your big ultimate with plenty of damage just before the final fight. 12 seconds
more
left.
fight.
So once again, they've survived Elder. They've survived the big PvP buff. The Baron still makes a big difference as these waves come in slowly towards the Ratones base. They have to do something. They have to maintain some of their infrastructure.
One chance, one moment. The biggest stage normally is when the biggest stars shine brightest, and it's Lost Ratones who without a doubt have the biggest names. But it's slow queue. Isma in particular has been having a great game with those impales as well. You can look at many members across both teams here and praise their performance. Someone will take the crown here. They need to step up and deliver the game-winning play. Slow queue's down to half. The Elder has timed out. That's a window now for Lost Ratones to play around, but trapped in their base as they are scouring between the turrets to try and keep this afloat.
Scurrying through. Won't be able to defend their own red buff. Looking onto main from the bot lane. Velia just checking the exit. It's a slow and painful death, isn't it, Duckling? This is going to take a while. If both teams are being so respectful, both teams want this lead in this best of three. It is also stretching out sort of the despair for Lost Returns. They're probably ready for game two, one way or another, you know. Whatever happens, they've probably had a brief discussion about what they want to do differently to avoid this, to make certain things happen again.
Lost
Faust
Ratones want
coming
to
in
collapse
onto
on him,
Manta.
and there will be no assistance of anyone from KCB. They are pinging on the top side. Can Manta buy enough time? No, is the emphatic answer. 8-second recalls need to come through, and he buys more than I would expect. Now Crowley needs to be careful here. He's realistically all alone, and Inhibitor will fall as Velia is being pushed out by Slow Q. They just get the Inhibitor. They break open the base on another angle. And normally in a situation like this, you'd feel like Lost Ratones were dead and buried, but I've seen them win these games before. I've seen them handle these situations, and KCB, unstoppable force, meets immovable object. That's very much been the case of this game, as Nelsua now potentially caught, but it's a Rakan. So slippery and easily finds space. Nemesis looking for the flank, scatter the weak. One massive one could just find the weakness of KCB and win the game.
Alright, the Rats had to run with that. They had to try and make something of the numbers advantage. We weren't sure how they could find a way back in. There was one potential there. Unlucky they didn't find Slow Q lurking in the bush. Just waiting for the top laner to respawn, waiting to become 5 again and assault the now weakened base of Lost Returns. Pings down onto the dragon. In 1 more minute, we'll be having the 3rd Elder Dragon of this game, Duckling. It's been stressful. We're going later and later into the game, bigger stakes, and we still can't end neither side able to fully break onto those Nexus towers. And with that in mind, the Rats have managed to at least get out of their base and approach the dragon this time.
Who will step up? Who will be the hero? We've seen LR win these before, but KCB, the toughest opponent, they no doubt have faced a game pushed to its limits. And an Elder likely to decide it all in 20 seconds.
KC Blue can be well and truly proud. They've come together as a unit now. Two new players performing so excellently on the EMEA Master stage. Stalemate here favors KC.
Faust has been impaled, and now they go forward. Good scatter the weak odds of 3. They got Slowkey, but there was no initial follow-up. Manta looking for the flank. Faust down to half. Crowny now trying to get control of the mid wave, and as the Elder spawns, no one can instantly start it up as the scatter of the week connects on 2.
All right, teleport back out and in from Baus. He's going to continue to cover the mid lane. The Rats are onto the Dragon for the first time in minutes. KC Blue looking to recontest it. They are
has been
assembled.
engaged upon, but the scatter of the week only finds Isma, and Baus taken solo. Mings is still on the flank. The engage down comes through. Exa, he looks for Nemesis, but he can't find him. He gets blown up. Scatter of the week finds slow Q. He buys some time with the stopwatch as Isma desperately tries to CC up Baus, and finally he gets taken down. The Elder's still on the map though, as who gets it? It is Isma who secures it as Nemesis gets taken down. Velia needs to be the hero, but there is no hero for Lost Ratones today. It's slow Q with a triple kill, and I cannot believe it, Temporal.
Absolute disasters. It looked like on our side.
This was so low mainter. Look who's in the base. Slowq's in the base. He's gonna end it here right now at this moment. It took 53 minutes, but the blue wall does not falter.
KC Blue from a deficit in the early game. They won't manage to break Reckless here. They'll get Crowny. They'll get the Nexus in an absolute fist fight. They had to cook. They had to wait for their composition to become uneclipsable. And they have managed 99,000.